Hi, I'm Sandra. This is session 3, and it's a follow-up on what we did on session 2 regarding the shoulds. I call them the 8 should cousins. Should, ought to, have to, supposed to, need to, got to, must, and better, as in I better buy milk. I don't know how many of you were raised with as many shoulds as I was. I was raised with a lot of them. And from what I have gathered from talking with my friends, many women, especially in my generation, and you can see by the color of my hair that I'm not of the younger generation. Many of us were raised with many have-tos and ought-tos. We did an exercise in the previous session about your saying to yourself some of the shoulds in your life at this moment and what you might have felt when you said those and paid attention to how you felt in your body when you were saying a have to or an ought to. I mentioned some of the things that some other people have felt: tense, anxious, pressured, as if they were not in good charge. They were living from someone else's should. And then we did it again. We did the exercise again in the previous session of changing that should to a choice, to the choosing to use the word I choose or I choose not to mow the lawn, call Aunt Sally, prepare supper at this moment. As I began looking at it myself and how many shoulds I was saying to myself, and remember, becoming aware of how many of those words you say in a day to yourself is not to become negative at yourself about doing that, because that would negate learning to love yourself. It's simply about taking stock of things. You have to know where you are before you can start on a journey. And so taking stock of yourself, just observing, my goodness, I said 50 shoulds to myself today. Or, my goodness, my boss says a lot of shoulds to me, or have tos. My family, Mom, you have to do this. Mom, you have to do this. And Mom says, no, you have to do this. There are so many shoulds in our culture, in our conversations. And one of the things that I realized, I've got this sentence in my book. You're going to probably see my book mentioned perhaps every session because I'm proud of it. I'm so proud of it. I finally got off of my back enough to realize it's okay if it took you 10 years to write this, Sandra, and you thought it would take much less. It's okay. It's okay. There were no shoulds about how many years it should take. So one of the sentences I wrote in here, I lived many moments of my life being a puppet, listening to everyone else's shoulds, paying attention to them, people pleasing. People pleasing was a huge stumbling block that I finally identified or listened to my therapist say, and to accept, and to decide I was tired of the people pleasing and doing what other people thought I should do without my taking responsibility for it. Here's another aspect of shoulds that is very important, at least to me. Shoulds disempower people. They disempower people. They promote dependency. I'm going to go off script here just a little bit. Maybe it's a lot. Yes, when kids are young, you very likely have many more shoulds that are very, very important. You can't run out in the road. I don't want you to. You shouldn't do that. It's important for us to set healthy boundaries for children. And as they grow, it's important to help them learn to recognize the consequences. No, excuse me, I don't want to use the word consequences because that word just has a connotation of negativity in our culture. So if a kid says that they don't want to go to the birthday party, they're 6 years old, they don't want to go to their friend's birthday party, mom or dad or whoever's taking care of the child says, oh, but you have to. You have to because he's your friend. And if you don't, you may not get invited again to somebody else's party. He may not want to come to your party. It's important. It's been hugely important on my journey to recognize, to begin to be aware of the results of my choices. The options. Almost everything has options as far as results. There are many options to every situation. Someone comes up, a would-be burglar, and says, give me your purse. And someone else, your friends, or someone would say to you, well, there's no options there. Yes, there are options. Give him the purse or don't give him the purse. And there are results to each one. There are likely results. And what I began noticing was how many decisions I'm making each day. When I make a choice, how many options were there for me to choose from? I had stopped living from options. I was just living from the should, the supposed to, that someone else was saying in my head. I wasn't looking at all the options. So when we help kids early on, or later, or even as an adult, as I was learning to do, to look at the options of going to the birthday party when you're 6, the results of that, or the option of not going, and the results, the probable or possible results. We can't know for sure, but it was extremely helpful to me to start noticing the options that were there and the possible results. Do we have to drive on the right-hand side of the road here in America? Well, technically we don't, because the car will go on the left. We know how to drive. We don't ever do it, basically. Our car could do that. We could make our car go on the left-hand side of the road, but those are options. But the results, if I drive on the wrong side of the road, there are possible, probable results. I might have an accident, hurt myself, hurt the other driver, hurt the car, hurt that car, be fined, go to jail. There's lots of possible results from choosing that particular option of driving on the wrong side. And what I began to see was there's a huge amount of freedom that I was not letting myself be aware of, was not letting myself experience, was not letting myself enjoy. The freedom of choosing. It's what our country was founded on. Freedom. freedom to decide what church you wanted to go to, or if. Freedom. If we're living from shoulds, in my experience and belief, we're not using the concept, we're not practicing the concept of freedom. We are letting ourselves be disempowered. We're giving up our power to something or someone else. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. It was painful, but it was also good, in that I now had words and feelings to help me become more in touch with myself and how I wanted to live as Sandra more authentically in this world. Okay, that's a heavy session, and it's session 3. Remember, by the yard it's hard, and by the inch it's a cinch. There's a lot in what I said today, and some of it may resonate now, it may resonate later. Take what you like and leave the rest, and even come back sometime if you want to. Take care, and bye-bye.